Hello, SuperCoaches. The teams are in for round 22. It's the final round before your head-to-head finals start, so it could be sudden death for a lot of SuperCoaches in their head-to-head leagues. We also have a number of shocks in the teams to get through, including Karapani Axe, Karaz to fullback, Rinakama to the wing, Pappenhausen is back. We've got so much to get through. Wilson Smith, how's your team travelling?
Not too bad. I actually had a pretty good week last week. Finally nailed the captaincy with Nathan Cleary.
Nice.
But when I was resetting some trades, I forgot to put the reserve back on Harry Grant, so I didn't start Harry Grant. So it could have been a really good week. Instead, it was just like an okay week.
Yeah, so for me, it was kind of similar. I got the captaincy on Edwards, which was the first captain I've got in a long time. Unfortunately, it all fell apart on Sunday afternoon and ended up actually losing spots. So down into the 7,000s, which I've been hanging around there in the 6,000s for quite a while, into the 7,000s now, but lots of trades up my sleeve. So hoping I can make up a little bit of ground.
I've only got 6 trades left, so I may make one this week, but I may not make any.
Yes, I think, it's probably the best way to go. Keep them up your sleeve for the head-to-head finals next week. What's your big takeaway from the teams?
Big takeaway from me is Ryan Pappenhausen back. I know a lot of people have sold him in the last few weeks, but everyone who's kept him, I think he's still in about 21% of teams. So everyone who's kept him for this long will be really happy that he's back, and it saves the trade, I guess.
Yeah, I like that he's back, and obviously with no Jahrome Hughes there, a lot will rely on him and Harry Grant. So could be a decent purchase. I want to take a look this week. For me, the big takeaway, Karapani Axed is pretty big. A lot of people were selling anyway, but he has peaked, so you can lock that in now.
Yeah, no, totally agree. He's done his job, so you can definitely move him on.
Yep, they've got Jesse Arthurs back into that team and Selwyn Cobbo as well. So pretty decent changes in the back line for them. The other guys will get through. Karaz to fullback. I'm not sure if that's good. Rinakama onto the wing, so he could be the cheapie that we're looking for. Cleary is obviously really popular. The goal kicking again. No Jahrome Hughes, which is old news. No Haumole Olakau'atu, again, old news, but we need to work out who the best replacements are. So huge show today. The other thing that's huge in SuperCoach is that SuperCoach Finals is back, and I'm not talking about your head-to-head finals that are starting next week. I'm talking about a short-form game for the actual NRL final series. A lot of people are asking me, how does it work? Do I have to pick Nathan Cleary to start in the hope that he will play all 4 weeks of the finals? That's not the case. You get a new team every week. So it's going to be pretty fun. It's the first time in 10 years that we've done it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play. Obviously, like when the SuperCoach ends went before the actual NRL finals start. So it'll be good to have a game to go for a bit longer into the season.
First game this week, Wilso, Eels v the Storm. It's the same 17 for the Eels, who are actually looking pretty good with Mitchell Moses back into that team.
Yeah, they've shown like patches all year. It's just when Mitch Moses has been in the team, they've looked really good. And last week, obviously, they were able to knock over the Broncos, so pretty massive. I still think I'd be tipping Storm again this week.
The guy who looks really good when Moses is in the team, I know he improves basically everyone in that side, but Zach Lomax just looks so good because space is created, plus Moses has that incredible kicking game that the guys who are filling in probably didn't have. So I think that Lomax is almost a must. He's pretty popular this week. If you don't own him, Karaz and Herbie Farnworth, I think you're probably kidding it in SuperCoach this year.
Oh, I've only got Herbie of the 3. I wish I had more. Like you said, Lomax, he's been good all year, but when Moses is in that team, it goes to another level. So watching him just absolutely kill it last week hurt not having him.
Obviously, Isaiah Yongi's out for another probably 3 weeks, maybe 2, with that hand injury. Onto the Storm, probably the most SuperCoach relevant game here because we've got so much going on. You've got Pappenhausen back, who I think could be a good purchase for next week. I wouldn't be jumping on. I want to see how the team works with Jahrome Hughes out and whether Pappenhausen takes on a lot more responsibility.
Yeah, I think obviously with Hughes out last week, I think Harry Grant really had to step up, and I think with Hughes out, I think him and Munster and Paps, like you said, are really going to have to step up.
Yeah, I feel like the whole attack is going to run through Harry Grant a lot more. And we were sitting here, 2 weeks ago, talking through the best hookers in SuperCoach. And I said it was a 50-50 call between Grant and Connor Watson. And the thing that got Connor Watson over the line was that he was dual position. If I was going to make that decision today, I would definitely 100% go for Harry Grant, because I think he's just going to be in everything for the Storm.
Yeah, I brought him in 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago and sort of had a bit of buyer's remorse because he hadn't been too good. But then last week, obviously, with Hughes off the field, he really stood up and, was just controlling their attack and was in everything and absolutely killed it for SuperCoach. So I'm glad I brought him in now. And if you need a hooker for the run home, I think him and Blake Brayley, I think, are the best two now.
Yeah, I wish I had Harry Grant in my team, but I can't bring myself to sell Connor Watson for Harry Grant at this stage, but who knows, I might pull it off later on. The other guy who I immediately thought of when Jahrome Hughes was ruled out was Tyron Wishart at 316k, so we're talking basically a cheapie price for him. But then we looked into the stats a little bit more, and I think you've talked me out of it. Yeah,
well, obviously last year he filled in there quite a bit and was pretty consistent. But this year, when he's been starting, I think he's had 4 or 5 games starting and playing basically the whole game. And in those games, I think he has a high score of 47 and has like a few mediocre scores. So I think just going off this year, I just want to wait and see. But for now, I think it might be a bit of a trap. He's cheap, but I think it's just a bit risky.
Did kick goals a fair bit last year, and we're not sure who is going to kick goals yet. So Pappenhausen's back from a calf, so you'd think that his kicking duties could be on ice a little bit.
Yeah.
But you've got Meaney's been killing it, but back to centre is not good for him. But even at centre with the kicking duties, you'd probably hold.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going out of my way to buy him, even though it is a really good matchup, but I would be holding for sure.
Those who got on a month ago are absolutely laughing all the way to the bank. Warriors v the Dolphins, so lots of outs for the Dolphins, including James Fisher-Harris, which is a big blow. But in terms of SuperCoach, I know it's early season news really, but Demetric Valmunga has been named despite an injury on the weekend, so it looks like he'll play.
Yeah, anyone who still has him would be cheering. I'm not sure he's necessarily a starting option, but if you've got other injuries, then if you've still got him, he could be a starting option for you.
At the Dolphins, they've got Nikorima back, which is big. Kafusi and Nichols back as well. So 3 pretty big ins for the Finns. In terms of them, it's a tough matchup on paper. The Warriors in Auckland. Having said that, the Warriors have a lot of injuries, so you could easily go the VC on Herbie Herb this week. Yeah,
obviously Warriors have been one of the best defensive teams in the comp this year, and it is at home, but like you said, they've got a ton of injuries, and the Dolphins' attack in the last month and a bit has just been on fire. So I'm sniffing a bit of an upset here, and I think I'll be tipping the Dolphins this week, and I think Herbie could be in for a massive game. I think I'm going to chuck the VC on Harry Grant, but otherwise I think Herbie is like a standout VC option this week.
Definitely. At the Broncos, so Cobbo back, as I mentioned, which means no Karapani. He was already the 7th most sold player. That will obviously increase a lot following this news. He's peaked. I played him last week, which didn't turn out particularly well. And he, on paper, had a good matchup this week against the Rabbitohs. And that was the reason that I was keeping him, because he had a run of good matchups. But if you want to cash out, you can cash out. On the other side of the coin, because he's not playing, he's not going to cause any dramas or AE nightmares, so you could just hold.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your situation. If you've got heaps of trades left, I'd consider moving him on. But if you're if you're running low on trades, it's definitely not a must sell. But he's done his job. He's now not going to be in the team unless some of his replacements have a shocker, and he could be back. But for now, I think he is a sell.
Good to see that Payne Haas is there. So he's been carrying a back injury, then went off with an ankle injury on the weekend, but he did train on Monday, which is great news. So he's been named and looks like he will play. Hopefully some more points, some more minutes from him this week.
Yeah, I mean, if you own him and he's playing, you play him. So it's good signs.
Particularly at Suncorp Stadium. I always like getting him into the team. At the Rabbitohs, so Jack Whiten facing that 3-week suspension. Jai Gray has been killing it for me in draft. If you're looking for a guy in draft, get on Jai Gray. who looks like he'll play fullback while there are all those injuries in that team. Plus, a lot of super coaches are only just getting around to selling Keon Koloamatangi, who, as we were revealed last week, is out for the season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously last week there's just been so many injuries, so you had a lot of people to move on, so maybe a lot of people couldn't move on him last week, but this week definitely you've got to get rid of him.
At the Titans, similar story, so no Tino, same position as Keon, so a lot of people are still getting around to selling this week. It's going to be another 2 weeks until he's back, probably. So you're looking at getting him back for maybe week 2, maybe week 3 of the head-to-head finals. If you're a head-to-head player, that's way too long to wait.
Yeah, I agree. Same sort of thing as Keon, just got to move him on now.
Last week in the preview podcast, you weren't on, but I picked Jaden Campbell as the pod of the week. My issue was that he didn't have great matchups in the run home. Comes out, scores 120. And I ended up taking your advice on Ezra Mann, who cost about 100k more and got, 20-something points.
Yep, that ended up backfiring, didn't it? Yeah, look, Campbell, I mean, the Titans are just so hard to read. Like, you know, they've been struggling, but then last week they came out and caused a bit of an upset, and he's just been killing it. So, I don't know what the moral of the story that is. I guess it's just it's worth taking a punt on Jaden Campbell, and don't listen to me.
Don't listen to us. Panthers, so Nathan Cleary, obviously the most popular trade-in of this week, with Jahrome Hughes out injured. We don't need to talk up Nathan Cleary and what he's done for SuperCoach. The things we need to point out is that he had the goal kicking back on the weekend. Looks like he's recovered from that groin injury. The Panthers are really building to something after a pretty slow start to the season. So I don't see how you can have a serious SuperCoach team without Nathan Cleary. And I own him already. I've held him through this entire period.
Yep.
So I don't need to use that trade. If I had Jahrome Hughes and I needed to sell him, 100% Nathan Cleary is the guy who I'd bring in if I didn't already own him.
Yeah, I just held Cleary this whole period as well. So I'm absolutely cheering. If I didn't, I would 100% be bringing him in this week, especially as a Hughes owner. I need a halfback. I've already got Cleary, so I'll be looking elsewhere. But if you need a halfback because of Jahrome Hughes' injury, Nathan Cleary, just lock him in.
Against the Titans as well.
Exactly.
So that's a huge captaincy opportunity with the goal kicking. Of course, I captained Dylan Edwards last week, and he didn't end up with the goal kicking, which we were kind of tipped into.
Yeah.
In the warm up, Cleary was taking kicks at goals, but I also had my phone. I refused to look at my phone on a Saturday when I'm with the kids, so I missed that news. But you must have heard it from somewhere.
Oh, I regardless of the goal kicking, I was just big on Cleary last week, so. Yeah. That one paid off, and yeah, good captaincy choice again this week. Panthers, they're on a roll, and they're at full strength against the Titans, so I think it just makes a lot of sense to just captain him again.
Isaiah Yeo is another guy who came back after a little bit of rest after Origin. He is the 5th most purchased player this week. Obviously, lots of super coaches are looking to sell Keon, Tino, even Dylan Lucas. People are just getting around to selling. So back row is a position that people want to fill. Isaiah Yeo, though, for me, I know he's at a good price after Origin and, you know, some reduced minutes, some reduced input over that time. But his high score for the year is 90. I'll be looking for some guys who are far, far sexier than their top score being 90 for this year. I don't see this trade, to be honest. Yeah,
I don't hate it, but I do think there is other guys I prefer. I brought in Viliami Kikau last week, which really paid off. He's like Isaiah Yeo doesn't really have the ceiling, but Kikau does. So I think I'd prefer him.
100%, absolutely. You need to go for someone with some upside, even Angus Crichton, something like that. Dragons, Hudson Young. Well, yeah, we'll get to him in a sec, but I'm regretting not owning him. Dragons. Let's not talk about the Dragons. Molo's starting. Sua's out with a knee injury. Onto the Raiders, so let's chat about Hudson Young. I've been very vocal on this podcast saying avoid Hudson Young because he's carrying this osteitis pubis injury. Since then, he's looked really, really good on the field and produced some pretty solid SuperCoach scores, 60-odd, then 90-odd, I think it was on the weekend. So I'm really starting to regret not owning Hudson Young. Am I going to go out of my way to buy him this week? No, I don't think I will, because I don't need to fill any slots there. But is he the best purchase in the back row? If you're looking to sell Tino or Keon or Dylan Lucas or whoever it is, yes, I think I've changed my tune on that. I think he is the best purchase in the back row.
Yeah, I brought him in 2 weeks ago, I think, and since then, 60-something and 90-something. So I've been really happy with him. And yeah, with all those injuries, like you said, I think he is the best back row option. So I really like him, and I think he's a good buy.
SuperCoach Plus, you can pick up $29.95 for the year, or you can get a full code subscription, $1 for the first 4 weeks. So you can essentially almost trial it for free. I would suggest you do that because it comes with SuperCoach Plus for free. The best thing about SuperCoach Plus over the finals is that you can spy on what everyone else is doing. You can see what everyone's doing with the captaincy, the vice captaincy, who everyone's bringing in. You can sort it by top 10%, top 1%. You can see what all the good players are doing and just spy on absolutely everyone. You can spy on your opposition player in head-to-head, pull a few shifties. I think that's the best use of SuperCoach Plus at this time of year, and that's just scratching the surface in terms of the features that we got there.
Yeah, absolutely essential tool, especially with, I know in draft, a lot of my rivals who don't have it just don't check their teams and will start non-starters. So
yeah, if you don't know, like even just for the players who are on the buys, you get what we call the traffic lights, where you get the green lights next to the players who've been named. Instead of having to go through a team list, it's literally there for you, ready to rock. If you don't own it, you're kidding yourself. And it's only $1 for the first month with a code subscription, which gets you all the SuperCoach articles, podcasts, videos, etc., plus all sports news. If you're interested in the Lions tour, which you shouldn't be because it's a joke, but if you are, you can read that news. All cricket stuff. England being absolute grubs over there against India. You can read that too. It has all sport in it, plus SuperCoach plus all the SuperCoach news. Your Sea Eagles, be the Roosters, no Haumole, so he's a popular sell.
Yeah, I think last week it made sense to bring him in because he, just the upside. So you can't be beating yourself up too much if you brought him in last week and now you've got to sell him again. But I do think now that he's out for the season that he is a sell. Interesting
bench there too. So they got Simpkin and Tommy Talau on the bench. So really only 2 genuine forwards on the bench.
Yes.
Going for a fast team.
Look, last week was a tough one, so I'm not too sure what's going on with my poor Sea Eagles at the moment, but Roosters coming off a loss, so hopefully we can get up.
Question without notice, because he's not on this list. Tom Trbojevic, who is averaging, off the top of my head, I think it's almost 90 at centre. He's roaming all over the field. Only available at fullback for SuperCoach. If he was available at centre wing, then absolutely 100%. I would be bringing him in this week, but only at fullback, it's a little bit more iffy. What are your thoughts on him? Because he's really playing a very similar role at centre to what he did at fullback.
Yeah, he's involved in attack on both sides of the field despite playing at centre. Still defending there, but in attack he's just roaming. So he's really involved. I do really like him. I just... like you said, if he was a centre wing in SuperCoach, it would just be a no-brainer. You'd be bringing him in. But the fact that he's just still fullback means that for me, he's not a buy, but I wouldn't discourage anyone else from buying him.
I reckon next year, round 1, he'll be the most purchased player because he'll be dual position. And the centre position means that he doesn't have to do nearly as much running as he would at fullback, so he can just insert himself wherever he wants in attack. So I like what I'm seeing from a SuperCoach perspective, but can't quite do it for me. Roosters, so Sanders Smith got that concussion. Billy Smith is back. Hugo Savala's back. SuperCoach-wise, not a great deal doing. I do kind of like Angus Crichton. I think he's building towards something big.
Yeah, I do think he's one of the premium 2RF options. For me, I prefer Hudson Young and Viliami Kikau, but I do think he is one of the better options.
West Tigers, so they got Buller and Samuel Afanu back into that team, so 2 big inclusions. SuperCoach-wise, I want to talk about Terrell May because he's dropped off slightly. 3-round average of only 78.7. compared to a season average of 85. So he's probably not a captaincy option, but he's still, obviously an absolute must-have.
Oh, yeah, still definitely a must-have and still a must-start, I think. But I think, he's still an absolute gun, but I think with that slight drop that he's not really one to consider for a captaincy option anymore, especially if you have Nathan Cleary. You just lock him in.
On to the doggies. So Connor Tracy, out for at least 3 to 4 weeks with what sounds like an ugly injury, like a knock to his belly, and it's hit an artery in his stomach. It's a strange injury, but he's been told he cannot train, cannot do anything for 3 weeks, and then has to train for a week, and then he could be back depending on how it all settles. What this means is that Jacob Kiraz goes to fullback. Now, I'm not sure how this affects him because he has been so good on the wing recently. But still, at fullback, he's got more chance for try assists. Hopefully it means he runs the ball just as much, which will also lead to offloads. And there was some great chat in a SuperCoach group chat that I'm in. I can't remember who said it, but he outscored Luke Brooks last week in offloads alone.
Wow, that's a good stat. Look, I think I want to wait and see how he looks at fullback before I'd consider buying him. I don't have him in my team, but he's someone who's been on my radar for months. And I think starting at centre or on the wing, I think he is really good. At fullback, I think he'll probably still be really good, but I would want to wait and see.
Yep, that also means that Rinakama comes onto the wing. He was the most popular cheapie last week before dropping out of the side. So if you are looking for a cheapie and a guy that you can play, like you can play him against the West Tigers this week, if you're looking to fill a spot in draft, I think he's a really good purchase as well because he's a high work rate winger in a good team. So should be getting some attacking stats, plus you're looking at sort of 40 in base as well. So if you're looking for a guy to free up cash, go for Rinakama. I like the look of him, just eye test. He looks good. Yeah,
he's really passed the eye test in his games. He's looked absolutely, really impressive. So I think he is a decent downgrade option if you need that.
On to the Sharkies. So they got Talakai and Nikora back into the team. Adam Fanua-Blake is really worrying me. And if I didn't have so many injuries, I would be selling him. He's averaging mid-50s over his last 5 or 6 games. He went off on the weekend with a leg injury, but he came back on. So there's definitely some sort of niggle going on with him. Having said that, he could easily come out. They're playing the Cowboys, who cannot defend. It's at Shark Park. He could easily come out and score a try, maybe even 2 tries on the weekend, and we would regret selling him.
Yeah, I think the minutes as well have been a bit concerning the last sort of month. And if it wasn't for the fact that he could just absolutely out of nowhere just come out and score a couple of tries and easily crack the ton, I would think given what we've seen the last month, I don't think he's necessarily a must start anymore.
No,
I have him in my team and I'd be considering, it's a really good matchup for him, but I'll be considering not playing him in my 18 this week.
Look, I think most people probably have Terrell May and Payne Haas as their top 2 props, so you don't need to play Adam Fanua-Blake. Just leave him sitting on the pine, and if you need him later on, do it.
Exactly.
But don't waste a trade in selling him.
Yeah.
Onto the Cowboys. So Clifford's back. That's actually huge for Drinkwater because Drinkwater's stats with Clifford in the team are massive. The other guy to point out is Tom Dearden, who, since switching to halfback, has not only won an Origin series for the Maroons, but he's killing it in Supercoach as well. There's a real shift when you look at his start at 5'8" compared to what he's been doing at halfback. It's a lot better, stats-wise, but of course he has that issue that a lot of halves have in this competition, that they don't kick goals, and when you don't kick goals in Supercoach, what's the point?
Yeah, I hadn't really even considered him until you mentioned him to me earlier, and we had a look at his numbers, and I think since moving from 5'8" to halfback, there was one bad score of 23, but I think other than that, his low score was like 67 or something, and he's had some absolutely massive scores in that period. So I think the other thing to talk about is that they do have the bye in the last round of the season. So
Yeah, good point.
you'll have to have a backup plan. But I think if you already have Nathan Cleary, he could be one of the best Jahrome Hughes replacements. And he's someone I might look to bring in this week.
To counter that, though, round 27 is not included in the SuperCoach Finals series. So the head-to-head finals run from 23 to 26. So if you're a head-to-head player, it doesn't matter that he misses round 27. If you're an overall player like us, then it could be a deal breaker.
Yeah, definitely.
Then finally, the Knights are on the bye. So, I mean, you shouldn't be owning Knights at the moment anyway. Lots of guys injured. A lot of people are selling Dylan Lucas. In any case, Knights are on the bye and just, forget about the Knights for the rest of the season.
Yep, exactly.
Big thanks to Will. So we'll catch you for the preview podcast tomorrow morning with Rob Sutherland, Tim Williams, Jet Hatton. We'll catch you then.